Only as a mother can ask. Only as a mother can ask. For the love of my son.
Now I've got a dead grandchild of whom I dearly miss. I would trade my life with hers in a heartbeat.
It's a story we've been following for a long time, and we'll continue to. Much more on the sentencing on our website and mobile app. Other news tonight, Maine's second largest private employer making a major announcement for associates looking to expand their families.
Yeah, Hannaford is now offering paid parental leave benefits for its qualifying full-time and part-time employees regardless of gender. This is the latest Maine company to follow a national trend to amp up benefits for new parents.
I had always anticipated wanting to take at least 4 months.
Helen Coburn is a lawyer at Bernstein Schur in Portland. Her husband is also a lawyer.
You know, we're both on this track to try to have successful careers, and we worked really hard for this. So you don't want to totally sacrifice that, and yet you do want to spend time with your family.
She was 7 months pregnant with their first child when her employer announced new parental leave benefits to include 16 weeks of paid leave for men and women.
It was just a huge relief to know that from a budget standpoint, which we had tried to work out and make sure that we could do what we wanted to do. It just was like, okay, this is a no-brainer. Obviously, we'll be able to do this.
A little more than a year later, her son Ian is walking, and she's celebrating the 1-year anniversary of her return to work. That relief is now something likely felt by some of the nearly 9,000 associates of Maine's second largest private employer, Hannaford.
The response has been overwhelmingly positive. We've always been an employer that's prided ourselves on listening to the feedback of our associates.
The Maine-based grocery chain announcing Wednesday its new policy, which will take effect September 1st. It provides 6 weeks of leave with full pay for associates regardless of gender.
As a parent myself, I know how much that meaningful support means when you're welcoming a new child to your family.
The benefits can be used during the first 12 months following the birth, adoption, or legal placement of a child.
And we worked really hard for this.
Back at Bernstein Schur, Helen is thankful she could take advantage of her firm's improved policy, one she says promotes something many new parents desire, a work-life balance.
Our firm, there's other firms in the market, other law firms in the market. I know, WEX unveiled a policy not too long ago, and now Hannaford's policy. These are all things moving us in the right direction.
So cute watching Ian walk there. There is no federally mandated paid parental leave in the United States. However, some states do mandate it, like California, New Jersey, and Rhode Island.
Interesting. Well, rich people like Keith, they took like 8 months after they had a child.
We get 2 weeks here, right?
You took like 8 months though, didn't you?
I did. Yeah, I took the extra. No, you know what I was saying about taking time off with your baby is it seems like now Luke is almost a year and a half.
With his personality.
Now I want the time.
Right.
I mean, they're cool when they're infants, but this age.
True enough. But it's more about acclimating and just trying to get a little sleep in, right? And being overwhelmed.
That's why you moved up this shift, right? No, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yeah, chances are you'll be fine.
Chances are. I've met a few that are tough, but you'll see. All right, we got some tropical moisture heading towards us, guys. We've been talking about this for the last couple of days, and here's the first wave of moderate rainfall for the most part, but this is from Tropical Depression Erin, which is advecting its way towards this cold front. And so when the two meet is when we're going to see things really pick up, but already some light to moderate rain moving through New Hampshire and southern Maine. So here comes the front, here comes that onslaught of heavy moisture through tonight, 10, 11 o'clock this evening through midnight as well. What we're likely to see is a bit of a kind of a fire hose effect that we see sometimes during the winter, where we get the rain training in one spot over and over through the mid-coast and then into down East Maine by tomorrow morning, and probably hanging around down East Maine through almost midday. And so there's the spot right now, at least, that looks the most likely to see some flooding problems. But by tomorrow afternoon, western and southwestern Maine will clear out, and temperatures will actually get, in some spots, into the mid-80s. Guys, we do have flash flood watches hoisted for the vast majority of the state for the possibility of this flooding. We'll talk more about who's likely to see this, and then, of course, we'll look at the weekend, too.
Sounds good, Keith. See you in a bit. Let's get some headlines for this Wednesday evening now. Tropical storm Dorian has made a bit of a shift, and it's now threatening Puerto Rico with a direct hit. The outer bands of the storm were already being felt on that island's eastern side by this morning, and forecasters say it has strengthened slightly and could reach near hurricane force as it approaches Puerto Rico. President Trump did declare an emergency last night and ordered federal assistance for the island.
Very soon, you will no longer see small plastic toiletry bottles at hundreds of hotels across the world. Marriott, which is the world's largest hotel chain, will stop carrying single-use bottles of shampoo, conditioner, and bath gels from its rooms. They're being phased out by December of 2020 to reduce the amount of plastic going into the waste stream. Marriott will instead have wall-mounted shampoo dispensers, or they'll be putting larger bottles in their bathrooms. In fact, the company has already rolled out larger bottles at thousands of properties in North America.
Apple is apologizing for the controversy surrounding how audio recordings made through Siri were reviewed. The company says it plans on resuming the program, but they're no longer going to retain those audio recordings of Siri interactions unless you specify that it's okay. Apple will mainly use computer-generated transcripts to help Siri improve.
And speaking of privacy, that's the subject of our Pulse question tonight. Yeah, we want to know, would you turn your doorbell security camera, if you have one, the footage from that over to police if they wanted to see it? So we want to know, and right now 91% of you saying yes, you would do that to help law enforcement. So we're going to have more on this coming up tonight at 6 on News Center Maine.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. The majority of adults may soon be screened for hepatitis C. The U.S. Preventative Services Task Force is recommending that every person between 18 and 79 be screened for this viral infection. It affects the liver. Currently, adults born between 1945 and 65 are urged to be tested. Hep C is on the rise. Doctors are treating more than 3 times as many people now as they were just 10 years ago. Hep C is the most common cause of people dying from an infectious disease, and it can lead to irreversible liver damage if it's not treated.
Some good news for red wine drinkers. We hear this from time to time again, right? Okay, well, there's a new study that shows an occasional glass may be good for your gut. Okay. British researchers studied nearly 3,000 people in the United States, Great Britain, and the Netherlands. Those who drank red wine had greater diversity of bacteria in their gut, which can be good for your health. This is compared to those who drank white wine, beer, or spirits. The red wine drinkers were also less likely to be obese and had lower levels of bad cholesterol. But don't overdo it. Scientists say that drinking red wine once every 2 weeks was enough to make this difference. And obviously, if you're in my condition, it's not a good idea.
No.
Well, it could be the start of a new trend in schools across the country. We'll see what one school in New Jersey is doing to make classrooms safe.
And the topic of chicken sandwiches has been the big talk around the internet for a few weeks now. Later on, we're going to meet a teenager who used long lines at one store as an opportunity to perform his civic duty.
Paul saying we can't hear anything.
On Facebook?
Yeah. Paul, I'm sorry about that.
Well, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. Let me see. Let me see.
Are other people saying that too?
No, but thanks, Paul. Oh wait, not working.
Sound
Oh,
is back.
they can hear us now. Okay, good. Awesome. Sorry about that, guys. Must have been a little bit of a... Debbie, I totes agree with you, girlfriend. There have been a number of efforts nationwide to try and stop school shootings, but clearly more work needs to be done.
Yeah, so places are trying new and, kind of unique ideas, including classrooms in Harrington Park schools in New Jersey. They've turned their classrooms into safe rooms with a new installation. Here's Jen Maxfield with the story.
In about an hour, this middle school science classroom at the Harrington Park School has been transformed into a safe room.
Within seconds, the door gets locked and everyone is safe.
New Jersey schools are required to do lockdown drills once a month, a sad but true reality.
We just run to a safety corner and they just lock the doors, and then we wait until the police officer opens the door.
Sometimes they'll be like, is it real? And you can see that, they're nervous.
Video on the Remo Security Doors website shows the door being tested. It's bullet resistant, all right, and shatterproof too.
The doors that are being replaced are in most cases more than 50 years old. They're just made of wood and regular glass. Now the new doors, well, they weigh more than 150 pounds. They're still pretty easy to open, but with one turn of the lock, 12 metal bars throughout the door engage, making it virtually impossible to open.
New Jersey has among the strictest gun laws and, according to the school shooting database, has the lowest school shooting rate per capita of all the states in the country. Still, the superintendent here says he's not taking any chances.
How do we make it the safest it can be and put them in a place that they know it's a loving, nurturing environment? It's a no-brainer for us.
All right, that's Jen Maxfield. We'll continue on the topic of gun safety tomorrow, too. Bill Green's going to talk to a mental health professional about his ideas on making school and everyday life safer for everybody. So stay tuned for that, as we know you will. Coming up, we're going to check in on the chicken sandwich craze sweeping the nation and how one teenager is using his popularity for good. His popularity, rather, for good.
Yeah, does Keith use his popularity for good? He's back with a full look at the forecast. Oh, the little one?
Yeah, I've left in Stormy for every day. I'm like, hey, I left in this.
And then you forget. I know, that happens to me. I know. So Brooke is weighing in on the classroom door story. She says pretty sad schools have to hold lockdowns, drills every month for practice. Saul says it looks like a prison door. It is interesting.
It's interesting, though. This is probably you didn't ever have to deal with anything, but people my age and older, we had bomb drills all the time in school.
My mom will bring that up all the time.
We had big, fallout shelter signs. All schools had like basement areas where the kids would go to. Mm-hmm. I lived in Sanford for a year, and I don't know if it's still there, but there was actually a tunnel that went between a couple of the schools.
Really?
And during those drills, you went down into the tunnel, and you had to put your head in your hands and curl up against the wall. And we had those.
That's interesting.
2 or 3 times a year. It was because of the Cold War and the fear of attack. So So
was there like a siren or something that would go off at school, and then you knew to Yep.
It was just part of.
Teresa remembers that as well. She says,
"Are we over there?" Oh.
Teresa says the same thing, and she says, "Haha, Lee, I just replied that as well." Yep, we did. So I'm actually.
And I mean, I just turned 28, so it wasn't that
long ago.
Really.
This chicken sandwich craze. I haven't seen much about this myself, but I'm intrigued. Have you seen this?
No. I mean, here's the Popeyes one. I know that. Yeah, no, it's whatever.
I do love stopping at Popeyes at the rest stop on the highway.
You're right, Isaac.
True.
Wasn't Pat just saying there's a Popeyes by the Maine Mall now, though?
There is, and there's one actually across from Fenway Park.
Mm-hmm. 15. Yeah. And Newport had one for a while also.
Welcome back. A nation already polarized finds itself divided once again, but this time politics isn't at the heart of it.
Nope. The blame lies squarely on a fried piece of chicken. People are choosing sides and beefing over chicken thanks to Popeye's release of its brand new crispy chicken sandwich and the social media debate that's followed. People are weighing in saying, which restaurant chain has the best chicken sandwich anyway? Some are calling this genius marketing. As it turns out, they are sold out for now as well.
Must be pretty
so
good.
It worked. All right, the chicken beef has been a trending topic on social media. Fans weighing in with YouTube commentaries and memes. Some have endured a lot of long lines just to get a taste of this new sandwich, too.
And while people were waiting in those lines, in North Carolina, a teenager took it upon himself to do his civic duty. Here's Ruby Durham.
Everyone's in line to get their hands on this chicken sandwich, but one Charlotte teen is using his time in line in a different way. Why did you come here today?
Just to get the spicy chicken sandwich with extra mayo.
I just wanted to see what it's all about.
Popeyes still seeing record lines after rolling out a new chicken sandwich that has now gone viral on social media. How long would you wait to try the sandwich?
Until I get to the window.
2 hours. Ooh. But while dozens waited to see if the $3.99 sandwich made the cut against fast food restaurants like Chick-fil-A,
I vote Popeyes.
David Ledbetter is making sure people remember the importance of voting in the upcoming elections.
Hey, are you registered to vote?
The Myers Park senior is only 17 years old. He's not even old enough to register, but he spent his last weekend before the first day of school at the Popeyes on Albemarle Road, making sure people were informed.
I knew a lot of young people was, wanted to try the sandwich, and we knew, we had to, come to the young people, and that was the only way that, they would be more motivated to be engaged.
So we took advantage of the large crowds by handing out sample ballots and voter registration forms, urging people to show up to the polls as well.
A lot of individuals were, already registered, and that was nice to know, meant that they was, involved.
But on Saturday alone, he was still able to register 16 people. His efforts now being recognized across the nation after posting these photos to his Instagram.
Very nice to know that, I've made a lot of impressions on, as many individuals as I have.
But now he's only hoping the newfound publicity pushes more people to be informed, involved, and register. So when it's time to head to the polls,
here's some more information on early voting.
More voices in our community can be heard more now than ever before.
Wrapped around a fast food building, what about being wrapped around your country and knowing who's running it?
Ledbetter says he plans to register next year when he finally turns 18, but this teenager is already a leader in this community. He's part of an organization called Imagine This. It helps teenagers go to college. And for those of you wondering which chicken sandwich he thought was best, he picked Popeyes. Reporting for NBC Charlotte, I'm Ruby Durham.
That's awesome. There's nothing worse than waiting in line, so might as well use your time wisely.
Absolutely.
This is also, it is brilliant marketing. It's like, remember when IHOP said we're going to do burgers? And we're like, oh, you're going to do burgers? We're like, just kidding. Just nobody comes to our restaurant. So we're going to, it's, and I didn't get that because I used to love IHOP. I haven't been in a couple of years, but.
Are you redeeming, are you saying something to redeem? Okay.
Do I do that very often? No, I haven't been in years. I used to be a big fan, but then I got off carbs and that was
right.
Gotcha. He hasn't eaten a carb in like 8 years.
Pancakes do tend to have a few carbs in
them. A little bit.
Meanwhile, give me all the pancakes.
Yeah, no, I know. I could go back to that, I think. All right, here's a look at the tropical moisture that's coming in to a cold front. So we talked about how these two are not going to directly hit, but they're linking up already. So this moisture is going into the front, and that's where we're going to see a lot of heavy rainfall tonight. And you can see the motion of this is a little counterintuitive. It looks like it's kind of advecting towards the front, and the front's coming towards towards it. So once they combine, that's when we get to the really heavy stuff, although York County already seeing some light rain, and there's some rain in through New Hampshire as well. I'd say this model's a little behind on the timing, but there's some heavy downpours that do come in to Portland, Wiscasset, Lewiston, Augusta, 8, 9 o'clock tonight. And then we get this band, and where that band sets up and how it's oriented off the ocean is going to be the key to who, if anybody, sees significant flash flooding. And so this band will kind of rotate through overnight tonight, and then it will stall tomorrow morning over down East Maine. And that is a concern for flooding over down east, because the longer it's here, obviously the more moisture it can put down through there. So it'll still be raining over down East Maine while it's sunny and in the mid 80s over western and southern Maine. So tomorrow afternoon diverges quickly depending on your location, and then everybody settles into a nicer pattern for Friday, Saturday, and straight through the rest of the weekend as well. So rainfall amounts here, and again, this is not gospel, but you know, there's going to be some areas with 2 inches, some areas with up to 3 to 3.5 inches, I think, is a possibility. Trying to pinpoint where that's going to be is hard. So as the night goes on, we'll keep an eye on those training echoes of heavy rain, and those are the spots. I think a lot of this will be urban flooding. So it won't be so much streams rising up as much as just areas that can't get the water out of the way fast enough. For example, Portland does this sometimes during a high tide, which is around 10-something tonight. So if that coincides with heavy rain, it'll flood in Portland. It's all about that kind of small scale stuff. We do have flash flood watches almost statewide, the exception being the mountains, because it'll just kind of run off from there. But we do have some problems. Meanwhile, Dorian, intensity forecast was not good yesterday, and now all of a sudden it's a Cat 1 hurricane, and is expected to be a Cat 3 or maybe weakened to 2 upon landfall. But that's a big change to go from a low-end Cat 1 to perhaps a Cat 3. And the models all center it somewhere around the east coast of Florida. Hard to imagine now, given its current latitude and position, that it could miss the United States. So it's just a matter of where exactly it ends up hitting. And we talked about this a little bit today, I believe, Lee, at noon. I can't remember exactly, but our forecasts have gotten really good for track for hurricanes. Yep. But the intensity forecast has only gotten marginally better over time. So we can tell you where it's going to hit, but what it's going to be when it gets there is still a very difficult thing for forecasters.
Interesting. After all this time, cool.
Yep.
All right, Keith, thanks. Okay, now this peculiar take on recycling tonight. Oches Coffee, it's a company in the Ukraine. It's making sunglasses out of its coffee waste. The company experimented with various herbs like mint and parsley before finding the natural material needed to make eco-friendly sunglasses. Other companies are already using coffee waste to produce furniture, cups, printing ink, and biofuel. But this coffee company is a pioneer in using it to make glasses. And also the glasses actually smell like freshly brewed coffee. Don't I comment on your coffee almost every night? I say it smells so good. Yeah, I probably love this. You'll have to dole out about $80 though to buy a pair, which is not too bad.
No, for sunglasses. Don't know how. I mean, they're made out of coffee. Don't know how good they are, but
I do love when you have that fresh brewed cup of coffee right there.
Yeah, you can smell right now, but just don't taste.
Oh, it smells so good.
When you take time off from work, do you check your email? About 2/3 of American workers admit that actually, yes, they do. Alliance Global Assistance was looking into this, and they also found that nearly half of working Americans lie to their bosses about Wi-Fi access and cell reception while they're on vacation. The survey found that millennials are most likely to use that reason, followed by Gen Xers and baby boomers. We baby boomers come in third because if we're still working, we're so close to retirement that I guess we feel more empowered or something, not so worried about what the boss thinks.
Glorious going off the grid. Well, a lot of kids in Maine heading back to school today, and the Auburn Police Department wanted to remind parents about another meaning behind the day.
Good morning, Auburn. Smell that? That's the smell of freedom. Parents' freedom. It's the first day of school. No more, Dad, I'm bored. Mom, there's nothing to eat in the fridge. It's back to school.
Oh, that's hilarious. The Post also reminded people to share the road with buses, and parents took to social media today, posting tons of pictures of their kids all dressed up for the first day of the new school year.
And this is the first day that we don't have any kids having a first day ever.
That's
pretty
unreal.
And speaking of let's talk to Cindy, see what's coming up at 5:30. Hey, Cindy.
Hey guys, I guess when you're a presidential candidate, there's no such thing as a holiday weekend because Bernie Sanders is going to be in Maine this Labor Day weekend campaigning. We have got the whens and the wheres for you. And the growing popularity of electronic smoking devices among many people has many people in this state very worried, and that's why the legislature passed a bill banning all of these devices from schools. So what is exactly included in this ban and when does it take effect? It's all ahead on News Center at 5:30. Back to you.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you guys at 5:30. We're back with Brain Drops after this. Lee, you really were onto something with the bomb drills because a lot of people
weighing in the same
have
thing.
been sharing their memories of that. I think it was, I'm trying to get back to it, but someone said it's kind of funny to think, you know, you'd go under your desk and put a book over your head and that was enough to suffice a nuclear disaster.
Yeah, there were, various schools had it various ways. Again, most of the schools that I went to, there was a basement or there was a tunnel or something. And we went down there. You've seen those big fallout shelter. They're yellow. Yeah.
Well, the Cumberland County Emergency Management Agency is still located in a bunker that's underground. And that's pretty cool. I've gone there for a couple of stories. But yeah.
Yep, that was a thing. It didn't seem weird because, you started doing it in like kindergarten and first grade. So.
Right. It was just part of the norm.
Yeah.
Debbie says, I grew up in Arizona in the middle of the 60s, and there was a very loud siren, and I had to get under our tables. It was a little scary, even though we knew it was not something to worry about. Brooke says her friends' kids at school had to undergo some type of lockdown today.
Interesting.
Brooke, where was that? And thank you, Brooke. You're so sweet. So yeah, it's really interesting. Fred remembers those drills in school as well. Thanks, Liam. Let's see. Trying to make sure I'm getting to everybody's comments. My mom's weighing in saying that they have a solid plan in place for a lockdown at her school. So yeah, a sign of the times. This is eye-opening.
Did you see they did a verify on the percentage?
No, what did it say?
7% or something.
7% of our oxygen, not 20. Yeah. I had asked Keith yesterday. I heard a statement that the Amazon provides 20% of the world's oxygen. So I was like, maybe this is good Brain Drops material. But our Verify team beat us to it.
And they did a good job talking about how it's all part of a cycle. So we're not losing that.
We'll get it back.
That oxygen, it's part of a cycle, yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so we're all going to be able to breathe. That's good.
Most likely. So obviously these Amazon fires have been a hot topic of conversation in general, and NASA just released basically a time lapse from the 8th of August to the 22nd of August that shows all the CO in the atmosphere, so carbon monoxide in the atmosphere. Now you know that carbon monoxide is not good for you, right, in an enclosed space and whatnot. This high in the atmosphere, it's not a health hazard to people, but as it kind of drifts down, it can affect air quality throughout the globe. So it's not going to be, in its highest concentration, it's too high for it to be an issue, and there's too much air around. But this is just another impact that's going on with these fires. It's obviously a big deal.
It's really alarming to see it from this radar from NASA.
And it's kind of shows how what we do to the planet sometimes, that there is posturing about whether or not to accept money to put these fires out, because there had been an insult to somebody. At some point, like, let's just save the Earth, and we can talk about this later. This is obviously a big problem, but it's not what you saw online, 20 or 30% of the world's oxygen. That's not accurate, but it's somewhere around 6 or 7%. So it's a substantial thing, and hopefully under control soon.
A lot of viewers have reached out to us asking to do more about the Amazon fires, and we're going to do just that tonight at 11 o'clock with Sam York. That does it for us. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now. Bye, guys.